Hello, welcome to Living and Learning. I'm Allison Kinnear, and every Wednesday at 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, I jump onto Facebook Live and talk about life, about living, and about learning. For the month of August, I am talking about listening, and so much of what we've talked about so far has been about listening to ourselves, because when we can listen to ourselves, we can better listen to others. But today we are going to talk more about how to listen to others, especially when there's a lot of emotion that's coming up. Maybe there's some anger that might be heading our way. Maybe we get into a fearful place. To talk about what we can do to help us get past our triggered responses of fighting back, our triggered responses of wanting to leave and retreat, maybe going into people-pleasing mode, and our triggered response of either freezing or just kind of getting that deer in the headlights stare. And also I would say to get over our triggers of trying to fix, which might be a kind of way of fighting back, but usually when somebody approaches us with anger or frustration, we tend to want to go and fix things. So we're going to talk about how to avoid those triggers of fighting, flighting, freezing, and fixing. So let's talk about, and there's so many things that I could talk about. There's so much here, but I want to talk about one thing in particular, one thing that can really help in any of these situations. If somebody is getting upset with you, and what you can do to kind of override those 4 F's of fighting, fleeing, freezing, and fixing. So I want to start with a story. Back when, oh gosh, it's been a while now, probably over 12 years ago, I got engaged. My husband gave me his grandmother's wedding ring, which is this ring right here. And I was so excited. I took it to the jewelry shop and I was so excited to wear it and, feel excited to get married and to show off my ring. And when it came the day to pick up the ring, it wasn't right. The setting wasn't right. It wasn't what I wanted at all. And so we talked about it there and they said, okay, we'll fix it. And it was going to be another week. And I was just really disappointed. I was really sad. I really was I had been waiting and anticipating that day of picking up my ring. I had told people about it. And so I was just really sad and really disappointed. And we got home and my husband was like, it's going to be okay. You're going to get what you want. And, in a really loving, trying to help way. And I was like, yeah, I know. And he's like, you're going to get it back before you know it. And I was like, yeah, I know. And the more he was trying to help me, the more my sadness turned into anger. And this happens oftentimes when people move really quickly into trying to fix things, is that we can then add, whatever the original emotion was, we can then layer it with an emotion of anger or frustration or something else on top of that. And so what I ended up doing is, at the time I was a preschool teacher. And so I had a lot of training and skills in helping children process their emotions. And one of the first lines of defense, and this is, I don't know if line of defense is correct, but one of the first things that we can do as parents, as teachers, is to really recognize and kind of catch the ball of emotion that a child is showing. So if they're sad, to really reflect that back. I hear how sad you are. If they're angry, to reflect that back, like, oh, I see how angry you are. This is hard. And it's not in a mocking way. It's really to say, I really understand the emotions that you're having. And so I kind of like left the room in a huff and I came back and I was like, look, all I want you to do is catch my ball of emotion. I just want you to say, that sucks, honey. I'm really sorry. And that's it. Like, I know it's going to be okay. I know it's going to get resolved. I know all of those things. That's not what I want to hear. What I want to hear is that you understand that I'm sad. I want to hear that you understand that I'm disappointed. And he was like, oh, that's it? That's all I have to do? And I said, yes. And he said, I'm really sorry, honey, that sucks. And he gave me a hug, and like, that was it. It was, and it, even though I had like, trained him on what to say, it still felt good to hear it. And this is the key. So when it comes to listening to others, the first thing that we have to do is we have to listen to the emotion that's underneath what is being said. So if somebody comes at you and they're all upset and they're all, in a fluster, maybe there's anger there. Maybe there's shame, like they feel embarrassed or shamed about not getting something done, and they're looking to blame someone. Perhaps it could be sadness or overwhelm. Perhaps it could be a multitude of things. But when we're listening, it's important to listen to the emotions that are coming. So we can say, wow, that sounds really frustrating. How can I help? And it's not just listening to the emotions that's happening with them, but it's also listening to the emotions happening with ourselves. It's like, ooh, their anger. Ooh, I'm afraid. Or, ooh, they're angry. Oh, I feel like fighting back. To kind of recognize the emotions that are underneath. So, for example, it's what happens is when we do this, one of the things that happens with emotions is emotions are just emotions. It's just a way of giving information. That's all it is. Anger is usually something happened that I didn't want to have happen. Sadness might be that too. It might be, and I'm feeling some loss or grief around this. Shame is I'm feeling bad right now. I feel yucky. I feel like I want to hide. People might be feeling helpless. They might be feeling overwhelmed. There are all these emotions that could be under there. And if we listen for that information, then it helps us not get into fear mode and our natural defaults when we encounter our fear. It's like when I get afraid, I just want to please everyone. I want to make sure everything's okay. And I want to kind of hide. So that's my default. And now what I've learned is that when people are coming at me with intense emotions, I'm able to go, oh, wait, let's just look what intense emotions are here. There's anger. Oh, okay, wait, hold on. There's overwhelm here. There seems to be a little bit of sadness. It's like, if you can just get to identifying some of those emotions, then you can name that. It's like, gosh, I'm really hearing a lot of sadness. Am I getting that right? Or I'm hearing a lot of anger and frustration. Am I understanding that correctly? Then what you see is people coming in like this, and then you'll see them like their shoulders will drop. You'll see everything kind of shift. And that's when you can step into the problem solving. That's when you can step into the whatever way it is to kind of fix or to help. But if you try to move into fixing or helping too soon, it will get swatted away. People want to know that you're hearing me, you're hearing the emotions that are here. And so I just encourage you, it's interesting. Like I see this all the time. Like if I'm waiting for food, you go to a fast food restaurant or you go to somewhere and the wait staff are really busy and people are waiting in line and nobody's being served. You'll see people getting really upset. People like to be seen. If they're having to wait in line too long without anybody noticing them, people get really upset. People want to be noticed. And so this is how we can notice them. We can say, I really see you. And what I'm hearing is that there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of anger. And then to check in, is that correct? Am I getting that right? And eventually you'll see they'll relax, and then you can move into all the other stuff. But you can't move into it until you've really caught that ball of emotion. So I encourage you, as this week goes on, just look around you. check in with yourself. Check in, as you're out running running errands, and see if you can kind of start to pick up on some of those emotions that people might be feeling underneath their behavior, underneath their words, because what's really underneath there are some emotions that need to be acknowledged. Tammy, I'm so glad you needed to hear this today. You are very welcome. I'm glad to be able to speak it. I also, we're wrapping up listening, although there's more to come. One of the things that I am going to be talking about a lot is a new program that I'm building. I have been building it out. In that program, we're talking about having difficult conversations. We are talking about how to really listen. We're talking about how to really express ourselves. We're talking about boundaries. It's going to be amazing. I'm building the content for it, and I am so excited. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a really long time. And my goal is, I speak to a lot of groups, at Microsoft, Amazon, different private places. And what I want to do is turn some of this content over to all of you who are tuning in from the East Coast, from the Midwest to the West Coast, and all over the world, all my people in Mongolia and in Europe. So I'm going to be creating a webinar for you. And I'll be telling you more about it in the weeks to come. I'm finalizing the dates, and I'm finalizing all of the content. And once that's ready, you're going to be hearing about it. My goal is to make you sick and tired of hearing about my new program. So I will be sharing that with you soon. Thank you so much, Tammy. I can't wait either. Love you too, Leah. And I will see you. I wish you a full week of living and learning, and I will see you next week, Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.